The golden aircraft of Quimbaya, ancient masters of the sky. In the museums of Colombia, behind glass display cases, a handful of golden objects are on exhibit. These objects have a history spanning more than 1,000 years, and they have continued to be a subject of debate among scientists and archaeologists ever since they were first discovered. The explanation offered by experts is quite straightforward. These are ritual figurines. They may represent birds, or perhaps insects. They are sacred objects that the Quimbaya people buried alongside their dead. However, when these objects are examined more carefully, it becomes clear that this simple explanation falls short. Because these figurines do not resemble birds, they resemble aircraft. Birds have horizontal tail feathers. These objects have a vertical tail fin, exactly like the tail stabilizer on a modern aircraft. Birds have wings on the upper part of their bodies. These objects have delta-shaped wings positioned low on the fuselage, precisely like a fighter jet. There are no feathers, no beak, no claws. Instead, there is a raised structure that resembles a cockpit, and small horizontal surfaces at the rear that look remarkably like elevators. The control surfaces that manage pitch on a real aircraft. If these are birds, they are the strangest birds ever carved. If they are insects, no known insect has ever looked like this. But if they are aircraft, suddenly, every detail makes perfect sense. Two German aerospace engineers, Algund Inboom and Peter Belting, decided to stop theorizing and start testing. They built a scaled-up replica of one of the Quimbaya figurines. Then they fitted it with a small motor and propeller. What happened next surprised even the skeptics. The model flew. Not barely, not awkwardly. It flew with remarkable stability. It glided. It maneuvered. It held steady in the air. Aerodynamically, the shape was close to flawless. Now, a skeptic will say, a delta wing shape works aerodynamically, and that could be coincidence. Fair enough. But here is the question that remains. If the Quimbaya were simply carving birds or insects from nature, why does the result happen to be aerodynamically optimized? Nature did not build that shape. Something else inspired. The Quimbaya figurines do not stand alone. They are part of something larger, a pattern that stretches across the ancient world. In India, a body of ancient Sanskrit texts called the Vedas and the Ramayana describe flying machines in extraordinary detail. They are called Vimanas. The texts do not speak of them vaguely or poetically. They describe the metals they were made from, how they were powered, how they were steered, and the weapons they carried. Some passages describe events that scholars have struggled to explain. Weapons that blaze like 1,000 suns. Survivors losing their hair and nails. Food and water becoming contaminated. People fleeing to rivers to wash their skin. To a modern reader familiar with nuclear physics, these descriptions carry an uncomfortable familiarity. In Egypt, the ceiling of the Temple of Dendera contains carved reliefs that some researchers argue resemble electrical insulators and cathode ray tubes. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Anunnaki, the gods who descended from the sky, are depicted in ways that have sparked debate for decades. Coincidences accumulate. At some point, a pattern becomes harder to dismiss than to examine. Here is something archaeology has confirmed without any controversy. Ancient peoples were far more sophisticated than we assumed even 50 years ago. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey was built 12,000 years ago, thousands of years before we believed organized civilization existed. The Antikythera mechanism, recovered from a Greek shipwreck, is a fully functioning astronomical computer from 2,000 years ago that we could not explain for a century after finding it. History has a habit of surprising us. Every generation believes it has finally understood the past, and every generation discovers it was wrong. So when we look at the Quimbaya figurines, the honest position is not, these are birds, and it is not, these are alien spacecraft. The honest position is, we do not fully know what these are, who inspired them, or what their makers understood about the sky. And that uncertainty is not a weakness, it is an invitation. Those small golden objects are still in their display cases in Bogota, still catching the light, still waiting. Maybe they are birds. Maybe they are stylized insects, caught in the artistic imagination of a gifted culture. Maybe they are something else entirely, a memory cast in gold of something that once moved through the sky above the Colombian rainforest. We may never know for certain, but the fact that we cannot dismiss the question, that engineers have tested these shapes and found them aerodynamically sound, that a civilization with no written record of aviation produced forms that aviation engineers recognize, that fact alone is worth sitting with. The past is not finished with us yet.